walks outdoors, lake, deep breath. Gratitude is one of my favorite proponents. I actually on my Instagram just said, like, let's start a gratitude challenge for May. So you're right up my alley, Olivia. Welcome to all of our travel nurses. Okay, we can get started. I'm just going to go over a little bit of the back end stuff, and then I'll hand it over to Matt, who you all came to see. But I'm Britt. I have been a nurse for going on 11 years this year. I was a travel nurse for about 5, but I currently work as a community manager for Trusted Health. For those of you all who may not be aware, Trusted Health places travel nurses and allied professionals in all 50 states. We also have like school nursing positions. We used to have contracts with like HBO and like really cool things like that. So honestly, anywhere you want to go, whatever you want to do, we got you covered. But besides our actual assignments, you all can also have wonderful resources like these where we have various hosts come and talk about, what they love to do and what they love to get people into, as well as a ton of blog resources, career resources, just to really help everyone on and off shift, just be the best nurses and allied healthcare professionals that we can be, and optimize everything we do and who we are. So again, like I said, we appreciate you guys joining us tonight. No matter what time it is, we are just super grateful for you. And without further ado, I will hand it over to Matt.
All right. Thank you, Brett. I'm going to go ahead and start my screen share. Let's see. Share. All right, let me make sure you guys see my screen, right?
Yep.
All right. All right, guys. Thank you for everybody for joining. So this is all about empowering you guys, healthcare professionals, and this is going to be both professionally and personally. So I'm excited for this, and I'm kind of curious if anybody wants to drop down in the chat. What do you guys want to learn from this workshop? If you guys want to send a chat and let me know, I'm curious to know. All right, so for the next 45 minutes, I plan on guiding you guys through different exercises, practice strategies to help you gain awareness. The goal is to become more self-aware so you can master your mindset, achieve more in your day-to-day, both personally and professionally. And ultimately, we know that we're all broken in some way. We all have a healing journey. And I just want you guys to gain some awareness so we can get to the root cause of maybe why you're feeling unfulfilled, where your unhappiness is coming from. That way we can start today to start making changes towards a better life, towards happiness, gratitude, and being more of an authentic version of yourself. So a little bit about me. Fun facts. My name is Matt. I've been an ICU nurse for 7 years, started nursing as an orthopedic nurse, transferred to the ICU because I love the intricacies of patient care and being a little bit more tasky, just a critical aspect. Started travel nursing in 2019. I've never looked back. I documented my journey on the Cup of Nurses. It was a nursing podcast. I've done it for 6 years. And then after some time, I decided to start my own independent journey. I got into coaching because of nursing. I loved coaching, mentoring people, helping them become a better version of themselves in healthcare. And alongside, I still had a knack for business and business development. So I still do marketing on the side as a healthcare consultant in the healthcare industry. So I was raised in Poland. I was born there. I was raised very religious in a Polish household. In Poland, religion was a part of people coming together to overthrow communism. But my grandma really helped shape my beliefs about how powerful beliefs are. She always prayed. She always thanked God, and all her worries were always with him, and her energy was always light. She was never fearful. And she was taught by a blind guy energetics and how to heal people through massage therapy. So she first introduced me to energy and like the metaphysical, that there's more to us than just this physical reality. And the first time she showed me how this works, when she opened up her palms like this to me, and I just opened up my palms and I started noticing tingling sensations down my fingertips that she was sending me energy. And I was like, wow, there's more to this beyond a reasonable doubt. So over time, I discovered my gift as a healer in my own form, and I love teaching people mindfulness, awareness, and how to heal and become better version of themselves. So early on, I started realizing that our outer reality is a reflection of our inner world. So on my journey, I really started realizing what is reality beyond the five physical senses. So many of us, we just interact with life through the five senses, which is sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch. For example, there's deeper layers. When you work out, you start developing the mind body connection, right? You focus on certain muscles like the chest muscle, and you know that you can have a more effective workout and pump when you focus your concentration, your energy in that area. And then there's also deeper layers of sensations and awareness where you can start noticing in your body what's happening, where energy is stagnant, where you're becoming triggered, right? For example, a lot of times in my life, I was so anxious and I realized, like, wow, I have butterflies all the times, or my palms are sweaty. So I started noticing these different sensations and what is it really telling me about myself? Not necessarily the outer world, but what I think about myself internally. So I was very fascinated by beliefs, what I held to be true, and the stories and narratives that kind of happen on the subconscious level, which we'll talk more about. I had my own healing to do. I was raised by a very military style father. He instilled a lot of self limiting beliefs I had to work through, but I loved the guy. So I had a really hard time feeling worthy of myself. I had to heal my need for constantly chasing external validation. I was a huge people pleaser. I always put other people at the expense of my own well being. And I had to really learn how to generate my true self worth from within. Then, as an ICU nurse, I really witnessed how powerful the body is, how it responds to stress. For example, when a patient gets a biopsy, you're able to observe the physiological changes in their behavior, heart rate, blood pressure, because they're so worried and anxious. And I even had a nurse that was married to a husband. She was pregnant, and he was in his 30s, and he got admitted to the ICU for AFib RVR because he had so much psychological stress because of his wife being pregnant and because of financial stresses that got him into an AFib rhythm. And I'm like, wow, this is so fascinating how the mind body connection works, how we're so intricate, where we think it's just physical diseases that are manifesting, but a lot of times these diseases are started from a psychological atmosphere. So nursing really allowed me to understand the power of attitude and thoughts. All right, so the importance of mind body practices. So training your mind and body through awareness is simply focusing on two things: focus and concentration. This allows you to achieve a mental state of calmness and having positive emotions. So if you guys want to comment who here struggles with the ability to focus and gets easily distracted, you guys can send an emoji or say yes, but I'll raise my hand up. Firsthand, I struggle with that. We call it ADHD, or just the ability of having so much attention, right? So these mind body practices allows you to explore deeper layers of yourself, your awareness, so you're able to harness your focus, your attention. And a great analogy I like to use is, let's take a look at your nervous system. We have so much stimulation constantly: social media, phone notifications, people you work with, people you hang out with, and the mind is constantly processing these things. Imagine it like a radio station, and there's multiple radio stations playing it all at once. And your body is trying to cipher through these radio stations, and there's just so much noise. So, how can you listen to your higher self? How can you listen to what God is trying to tell you? Source, universe, you can use your own identification there. What is your intuition trying to tell your gut feeling with all that noise? And it's really hard to get in tune with yourself if you have all this background stimulation. So these mind body practices allow you to lower your noise print so you can gain more awareness to what's happening internally, the way you're talking to yourself, the way you're communicating to yourself. And you can notice the positive feelings, which is your higher self, your intuition talking to you, or your negative self, the voices of I'm not good enough that have been running through your unconscious since childhood. We just have to learn how to notice them so we can change them. So, some examples of mind body practices are somatic embodiment. You can do breath work, you can do guided imagery, progressive relaxation, yoga, Tai Chi, to just to name a few. So, these mind body practices are going to allow you to become aware of these energy blocks, which I like to call dead weight, which are just stagnant in your body. And the more you start noticing them, the more you kind of free up and allow yourself for that stagnant energy to flow, the more you're going to be more agile, more present in yourself. So the way I like to look at it, the better you move against gravity, the slower you age. And it's just not physical. So what are some benefits of these mind-body practices? The first one is stress reduction. So having improved coping skills, you're going to be able to better regulate your emotions. You can use techniques such as deep breathing, which is similar to meditation. This is going to help you lower your cortisol, and it's going to lead you to a greater sense of calmness and overall well-being. The other one is enhanced physical health. So mind-body practices allows you to gently move, stretch. You could be more flexible, develop more strength and balance. And with these regular practices, you can improve your posture, prevent injuries. And if you have some chronic pain conditions, stiffnesses, you can hopefully reverse those. Improve mental health, which we're all here trying to understand, right? So these practices can improve your mood. They can increase feelings of positivity because you're able to notice the negative chatter. And ultimately, they can provide a better coping mechanism when you're dealing with life's challenges because these emotions aren't going to become so overwhelming. And this is due to improved mindfulness, which allows you to be more present, which in return will help with that mental health. Better sleep quality. So, mind body practices help reduce insomnia. They promote relaxation before bedtime. You can use techniques such as yoga, meditation, and the progressive muscle relaxation, which is going to calm your nervous system and it's going to prepare you for a more restorative sleep. I personally like to meditate maybe for 5 to 10 minutes. Sometimes I'll take out my journal, just some positive self-talk, and just reflect on a day, be grateful, and just kind of calm myself down and ease into sleep. And it works really well because if you have unprocessed emotions and thoughts, you're able to kind of notice them through the breathing exercises and meditation before you go to sleep, and those thoughts are just ruminating while you're trying to fall asleep. The other benefit is boosted immune function. So regular mind body practices enhance your immune function because you become more resilient to illnesses and disease because of less stress, less cortisol, less adrenaline pumping through your system, which limits your and lowers your immune system. All right, so we're going to talk about opening up your heart space. And when I started my journey very early on, I had a lot of emotional healing to do. And I literally noticed all the time my chest wall was literally locked down. My muscles were so tight around that area. I had a hard time breathing. I was breathing shallow. And my capacity to really feel things truly were blocked. And when it comes to opening up the heart, it's able to light the dark places in your life. It's able to increase emotional balance. You're able to meet life's challenges with more fluidity, more grace. When your heart space is open, you become more in touch with your needs, your desires. You're able to communicate better. You're able to become a more compassionate friend and also lover. So, what is the difference between the two? So we have the head space and the heart space. The head space, I like to think about it the place of anxiety, the place of overthinking, over rationalizing, not being in that flow state, as we like to call it. So we have a lot of chatter, a lot of noise. We have that limiting critical voice. We become worrisome, insecure. We project our fears onto people. We blame people even, and these emotions, these feelings just resonate from childhood. We've been conditioned to respond the same way to challenges and adversaries. So living in this headspace means you have a poor self-image determined by what other people think about you. And we want to get into the headspace, right? Or I'm sorry, the heart space. So that heart space is the place of unconditional love, the place of pure love and acceptance within you. And once you tap into this heart space more and more, this is where healing for yourself and for others takes place. And I think the easiest way to access this is just being grateful, learning to be grateful, learning to practice gratitude in your everyday life. And you're going to start to become more light, more free, more expansive. You don't question where you're going or what you're doing because you feel pulled towards things. So your heart space is ultimately being aligned with your authentic version of yourself. You're not limited by the subconscious programmings of I'm not good enough because you are aligned. You are more in alignment, and that feels very authentic. So whether you believe that there's an idea of blocked energy, somebody might be like, well, I don't believe this. We're in healthcare. We see things differently. I'm sure everybody has felt a negative effects of worry and constant thoughts of anxiety kind of haunting you throughout your day. And these thoughts are energetic roadblocks. They can deplete you. A heart full of unfinished events and worries is something that you hold on to, which holds on to you in the form of anxiety. So that's one way to look at it. So for this next exercise, we're going to try to do a heart space meditation and see exactly how it feels to live more centered in the heart, not in the mind, and how that feels. So I'm going to try to kind of calm you guys first. So just get in a comfortable position. If you guys were taking notes, try to kind of maybe face Indian style, just sit down, just relax. I'll give you guys a few seconds for that. All right, so if you guys are in a comfortable position, you guys can go ahead and close your eyes and begin by taking several long, slow breaths, breathing in fully and exhaling. And allow your breath to just find its own natural rhythm. So bring your full attention and notice the breath coming in and the breath going out. And follow the breath with your awareness. Don't try to change anything in any way. The way you're breathing is perfect. If thoughts come in, as they always do, just simply acknowledge them without judgment and just let them go. Let them drift away like clouds floating across the sky. And then bring your awareness back to your breath, back to the present moment. Your breath is an anchor, and you can return over and over again when you become distracted by your thoughts. Okay, so now we're going to try moving into the heart space. So imagine breathing into your heart space and start feeling sensations. If you have a hard time feeling that area, simply take your palm and just kind of rub your chest, just so you kind of have awareness there. And I want you to begin to feel joy in that heart space. Think joy. And then I want you to smile into your heart space. And you can do it physically with your teeth and your lips. Give yourself a little smile. And feel that expansive feeling as it comes of a result of smiling into that space. And I want you to say to yourself, I am happy to be me. I love me. I love my life. I am happy to be me. I allow myself to be me. I am free. Thanks for being me. And just feel that sensation of that expansion and say to yourself, I am ready for any kind of judgment. Wherever you don't give yourself the chance to smile without a reason, please change that now. And as tension arises from these emotions, sensations, or hesitations, all you have to do is go into that tension and exhale them. And as long as you want something, you don't trust that you have it. So this is helping us to learn to breathe out those fears. Those are tensions that are preventing that energy from flowing. And you don't force energy to change. You just allow it to flow and it'll open up. So whenever you guys are ready, you guys can open your eyes. And I'm curious to know, how did that feel for you guys? Does anyone want to share their experience? Does anybody want to type something in the chat? Okay, I love that. And usually when we focus on emotion of gratitude, we have that same expansive feeling. Okay, I love that, Colleen. Thank you. And we always have that presence. We always have that calmness. We just forget about it. We get lost in the motions of life. We become worry. So I'm glad you guys all feel relaxed, and that space is always available to us. We just have to be present and mindful and tap into that. And I think the more you practice this, the more you're able to get into that space, and feeling grateful will become easier. And you're going to be able to become more aware. So whenever you catch yourself in the worry state, in the state of conditional love or not feeling beautiful, let's just say, you're able to just open up that space again. And over time, too, with awareness, right? This is awareness of the mind body connection. Sometimes we can't catch a thought that's happening subconsciously, meaning you might be going about your day. Let's just say you're working in healthcare and a doctor told you something and it bothered you, so you didn't feel good enough. And you might have not caught it consciously that you felt not good enough, but in your body, you felt that constriction in your chest wall and that heart space. So that's a great indicator. By using a mind body connection and mind body practices, in that moment, you're going to be like, oh, wow, the doctor told me something and my chest closed up and tightened up. And that's when you can give yourself positive self talk and open that space back up, because it's not true. It's just a judgment that we perceived from somebody else. All right, we're going to move into the next exercise. So this is called a wheel of life assessment. It's an effective exercise I like to use with all my coaching clients. Oh, before that, Colleen, since you answered first, I'm going to give away a free coaching session to you, okay? So, Brie, you can kind of keep that in mind after the call. I forgot I have 3 to give away. All right. So this is the Wheel of Life assessment. So it's going to help you find balance in your life to create more happiness and success. So the Buddhist calls this the happiness factor in human life. And the purpose of this exercise is to just determine your current level of fulfillment and satisfaction in each of these categories. And the reason why we have these basic categories is they address our basic human needs. So Maslow's hierarchy, for those that took nursing. So these are the basic needs. If we don't meet, we fall out of balance, which leads to neurotic behavior such as anxiety, addiction tendencies, and depression. So this is just going to be a great self-evaluation tool for you. So you can take out a piece of paper, a pen, and we're going to dive into each of these categories. So normally you would create a circle and then you kind of shade in the circle into each area, and it's able to tell you how well you're doing, because the whole point is to have the circle completely full, right? 10 out of 10 for each category. But in this case, you could just number from 1 through 8 and we'll go individually and you can kind of make your assessment. So the first one we're going to start off with is health. And you can rate yourself from a scale 1 to 10. 1 represents completely failing, by the wayside, and 10 feeling totally fulfilled. So the first one, health. How physically and mentally healthy are you? How's your overall energy level, vitality, well-being? What is your quality of sleep, your nutrition, your mood, and just overall feeling within your body? How would you rate yourself? And then we're going to go into family and friends. This is the social category. Your inner circle, like your coworkers, your community. How are your friends and family? Do you feel unconditional love from them? Do they feel trustworthy? When was the last time you guys checked in with each other? The third one is going to be your significant other. This is your romantic life. Have you found happiness and love? Maybe you're not looking for love right now, you went through a hardship, you can also rate yourself in that aspect. Your fourth one is your career. Does your job bring you satisfaction? Are you affected by burnout? It's a red flag here for all the healthcare professionals, right? Or maybe you're seeking a side hustle or career development. How would you rate yourself from 1 to 10? Fifth one is going to be money and finances. Does your income meet all the basic needs and other needs? This can include your income, your savings, your expenses, investments, your overall financial health. All right. Number 6 is physical environment. This category is more of your own personal space. It could be your home setting or office area. How do you like your physical environment? Okay, number 7 is going to be personal growth. How do you deal with personal growth? You're attending this workshop, you're trying to learn new things, maybe you're reading, you're trying to get a mentor, a coach, a therapist. How's your overall self actualization? That's going to be that top area on the Maslow's hierarchy. Number 8 is going to be fun and recreation. So, are you enjoying life? Do you practice any hobbies, sports? What do you do in your free time? I saw somebody say traveling and hiking, camping. So, I think this is going to be a great category for you guys, especially, you guys are travel professionals. So, okay. And then for fun, I always like to ask a ninth category. This has to do with more of your purpose. So the quote I live by, which is on my Instagram bio, is life is to love and to be of service to others. So the ninth category is, what is your contribution to society? How do you help others? Are you taking care of your family? Are you volunteering? Maybe you're involved in a community, a church group. And usually as nurses and healthcare professionals, we do feel more fulfilled in this area because it is a selfless profession. And this is the entire circle of life, or the wheel that represents your overall life. So I'm kind of curious, what do you notice? Is there any surprises that you guys are shocked after doing this assessment? Do you see any areas that you want improvement right away? Or maybe what category is drawing your attention most? And for that category, you can identify maybe 2 or 3 things or actions that can help you grow in each category. Curious to know in the chat, what is something you guys realized through this exercise, or maybe an area you guys want to put more focus into? Yeah, health, super important. A lot of time we like to focus on a career and make a lot of money, but health is wealth, right? Without your health, there's no way to make money or have an income and support your family and do fun things. So that's why that's number one. That's like the top pillar. So thank you for your feedback, Christine. I'm going to give away a free coaching session to you. All right. Let's see. I love that analogy. You got a leak in the wheel. We need some flat tire. At first, I read that. I'm like, oh, geez, are you on the road and you just got a flat tire? Yeah, definitely. We all, nothing is perfect. And I think there's no such thing as a perfect balance. Whenever somebody says you need perfect balance, that's a myth. There's different seasons of life, right? There's a season of life that you're working hard, you're travel nursing, let's just say, you're putting your career number one, and then family and friends, social category is going to diminish for a bit. So life is just all about different seasons. You just have to kind of keep balancing and going with it. All right, we're going to move on to the next thing, crushing your limiting beliefs. So, what are limiting beliefs? Limiting beliefs inhibit your ability to progress in life or career to accomplish your goals. So, these limiting beliefs are literally a story that we tell ourselves about who we are. And this holds us back from becoming who we are meant to be, our authentic version. I believe that we all were born on earth with a gift, with a purpose, and we're supposed to fulfill that purpose. A lot of times we're stuck, due to analysis paralysis, anxiety, maybe depression. Maybe you're stuck in high school mode and you're still partying and, can't mature. And I believe we all have a designated area to be in. And I think every season of life kind of pushes us there. And these limiting beliefs kind of inhibit this progress. So they inhibit the progress from reaching your full potential. They're often in your subconscious mind. As you know, the subconscious mind from age 0 to 7, you kind of have programmed beliefs because you're a psychic sponge. You just absorb everything, your parents' behavior, their energy patterns, what they say. And then after 7 years old, for the rest of our life, we have to kind of figure out these things, these traumas, and all this, things that happen. So, as you know, the outer world is merely a reflection of your inner world. So, if you're not happy or fulfilled, a lot of times we like to look at our outer world, maybe go get a car, get a nice thing, and purchase something. But really, that fulfillment and that unhappiness, we have to look within. That's the first place we have to go. So, with these mind body practices, you can start becoming more aware of your body. And once you realize more and more, maybe the physical sensations, you'll start having more data, right? A lot of times we just gather data through our five senses. Now, with the mind body practices, and as you guys are on your healing journey, we are going to have more data because we're going to be able to take a peek at what our body is telling us, right? Many people feel one sensation and they tell one story about that sensation. They call it anxiety and they call it anger or happiness, right? A lot of times we have butterflies and we just say, well, I'm anxious and worried. What if you're just excited? So sometimes we have to change the story of what our physical sensations are telling us. At first, if you have trauma, how can you trust your own emotions when they're playing tricks at you, right? We have to kind of learn how to have better discernment to know what our body is telling us. All right, so for this exercise, I'm going to pick one of you guys to sing on camera, okay? I'm going to pick out a song. Who's ready for that? Okay, pause and notice the physiological responses you guys had when I said that. Notice the tone of that vibration in your body. And just take a focus on those sensations right now. There was things moving through you energetically. I like to call that a feeling tone as a result of what was said. So I just realized that with this event, technically somebody can't turn on their camera to see. So hopefully you guys still got a little bit nervous when I said that because that was the point of this exercise. But let's just say when I said, hey, somebody's going to be on camera and is going to sing, you had a physical sensation that popped up in your body, right? And we call that the story. So when I said that, there was a story that played in your head like, uh-oh, I'm not good on camera. I can't sing. So take a mental note of that. Those are just physical sensations. And in this moment, we're able to separate the story from the physical sensation, right? I felt anxious because I feel like I'm not a great singer. And this is just based on the current belief that you hold in your life. And this could be with anything. So the goal is to start taking and start learning of how we translate our physical sensations and what they mean. And if we want to tell a new story about ourselves, all we have to do is translate what our feelings are in our body to create a different reality. So the goal is to tell a different story about what was said or what was felt based on the event. And all it is focusing on different data. A great example of this is social media, right? Let's just say you make a post on social media and 10 people gave you positive feedback, but one or two people just didn't like it. And a lot of us just focus on a negative aspect. We're just conditioned that way, right? We feel not good enough because those two people say my post sucked, while the other 8 people said it was great. So why are we focusing just on those two people, right? And that's kind of what I mean by data. We choose to focus on what we want to. And all this data is just emotions, they're physical sensations. Think about it, emotions, energy in motion. And all emotions have a feeling tone that we embody. And the point of the mind body exercises and just becoming more self aware is starting to notice these tones, these impulses, why we sometimes react instead of respond. So we can start making better choices, start trusting the body, and just trusting our inner consciousnesses to lead us correctly. It's just having better discernment. I'm curious, did anybody feel anything when I said that we're going to sing on camera? I'm kind of curious if I was able to trick anybody. Okay. You felt nervous. Yes. You thought that, yeah, you guys felt like people are going to be looking at you. The camera is going to be on. What song is he going to pick out? Right. There was so much narrative that was kind of playing in the background. If you were willing to volunteer, but you still felt some type of way about it, right? Okay, great. The whole point of this was just to notice how once we feel an emotion, that emotion gets transferred to a physical sensation and it just pours out, right? One theory that I have with this energy and like blocks, sometimes people look at the seven chakras, right? And there's a blockage in energy centers. But I noticed a lot of patients over my time as an ICU nurse, the patients that had, for example, colostomies and all these like GI problems, they always had underlying anxiety and depression. So what I feel like over time, you have so much anxiety that energy keeps going. Specifically, the large intestines hold on to anxiety. So the energy that doesn't properly flow and becomes blocked. Over time, energy becomes dense, and then you start having physical symptoms. Right? You start getting bloated, gassy, and things like that. Maybe you're not able to digest food properly. And over time, these patients, if they're not getting treated, they have physical symptoms. They're put on maybe anti-inflammatories and different medications, but they still have anxiety. They still never cured the root cause. And over time, I feel like that energy just creates such blockages, which things just rupture, which creates a colostomy. There's no evidence that that's true, but that's just my theory based on just what I'm learning and understanding how energy flows and everything else. All right, so this is the last side when it comes to limiting beliefs. This is the core of my coaching. So I believe beliefs are the center of every area of our life. We always have a belief about every area of our life. So it's very easy to get caught up in self-limiting beliefs. Usually they get instilled in childhood, and the whole goal here is to overcome them. So the first thing you have to do is to identify them. We have to notice, what do we feel limited about? Some common self-limiting beliefs can be, I don't have time. I am not good enough. I'll be judged. I have failed in the past, so why should I try? And they get broken down into these four categories. So about the world, maybe how things are. We can influence a situation. We feel hopeless. It could be about other people. We have limiting assumptions. We have trust issues. We feel self-conscious. Sometimes we project different emotions, or I'm afraid because other people think about me as X. And this creates social anxiety. We have entitled beliefs. We avoid progress because we have a high ego. We don't want to get out of our comfort zone. We think that the world owes us something, that victim mentality, right? Or they were superior to other people. And we also have beliefs about ourselves, that I'm not good enough, I'm ugly, I'm incapable of trying something new. And none of these statements are true. They're just tales and stories that we tell ourselves. And sometimes we can notice these things subconsciously through the body. So the mind body practices allows you to catch these self-limiting beliefs. It sounds kind of hard to explain now, but this is something I do in depth in coaching session by coaching session. We start realizing and developing this system of noticing and feeling things. So after you identify a self-limiting belief, you're gonna have to take responsibility, taking action, developing a sense of control, changing beliefs, right? Life doesn't happen. Life happens for me, not to me. And then we can start taking control of these emotions, learning from mistakes, making better judgments. But we have to let go of that victim mentality, because without that victim mentality, we're going to keep on repeating the same habitual patterns. So after we take responsibility, we're going to let go of certainty. You want to maybe leave a job because you despise it, but you can't because you want stable income. You want to have a great friendship, but you keep on unhealthy friendships because you feel like you're never going to find a friend. This could be with your romantic partner. Maybe you wanted to start a business, but you never felt worthy to start that business. Uncertainty is always going to be there. We don't know when there's going to be a global pandemic, the economy is going to crash, your finances are going to dwindle, your health is going to crash, your relationship might end. So a lot of life is just uncertain. I think this is why it's important to have faith in the higher power. Hope and faith are fundamental here. And then the last one is changing your self talk. So, noticing how you talk to yourself. What is your inner voice communicating to you? That's the first step here after all these steps are done to change this limiting belief. Once we have the data, we know what it is. We're going to start noticing when that roommate tells us a negative thought. And all we have to do is just change it, focus on a different emotion, and just letting it go. And it's just a game of repetition. The more you become aware, the more you start letting go, and over time you become a different person because you're changing your habits, you're changing your thought patterns. Alrighty, so we're gonna switch gears. That was more of like a metaphysical session there. Now we're gonna get into the practical, productive things of how to win the day and conquer it. Those that maybe struggle with discipline and things like that. So every life has its ups and downs. We don't have air in the tires, right? There's some flat tires in some categories. What do we do? And daily discipline is what gets you there. It gets you to where you want to go. And that's how you win the day. So action over thoughts. A lot of us talk about what we want to do. Sometimes we watch a YouTube video that we want to accomplish something and we get a quick hit of dopamine because we watched the thing, and then we never put action behind things. This is why we need daily action, and it's hard to do it at first. So we need to build momentum in our life. According to Newton's first law, when the body is at rest, it's going to remain at rest unless it's acted upon a force. So in order to change something in our life, we have to build momentum. It's going to require a lot of energy up front to step outside your comfort zone. But once you make that change and you push that big boulder at first and that boulder starts moving and there's more momentum, it's going to be easier to keep pushing that boulder because there's momentum going. And you get what you put in, right? You ever heard the term you reap what you sow? So remember that your daily habits shape your future lifestyle. Life is all about inputs and outputs. If you put your best focus energy into things, you are more likely to achieve a positive outcome. So we have to take responsibility. We have to take personal accountability for everything that we do, and we got to manufacture this momentum. You affect your productivity, you affect your performance, and ultimately your success. So in order to win the day, we have to maintain a high level of accountability. We have to be honest with ourselves. One of those values, living in integrity. Are you being honest when you slip up on the goal or the thing that you said you're going to do? I do it sometimes. I said I'm going to the gym and then I got lazy the next day, right? So noticing in that area when we have to take accountability for things to really move forward and to achieve our goals. And I think the three components to winning the day is gratitude, purpose, and discipline. So we need gratitude in order to have an abundant mindset, to not live in scarcity, not compare yourself, and just love yourself. Again, this is that heart space area, right? Knowing that everything's working out for you. Who cares if, Cindy over there has an expensive Land Rover? I love my car. I know I'm going to get there because everything is in God's timing, right? Purpose. It can guide your daily decisions. It can influence your behavior, shape your goals, and offer a sense of direction so you can create meaning. What is the purpose they have for the day, for the week, maybe for the year? But with purpose, you have more intentionality. So it's important. And the third one is discipline. So living in integrity with what I just said, with what you say you'll do, doing the hard things, saying no when you said you will say no, and learning to effectively lead yourself comes down to discipline. And as a result of doing these things, you're going to gain confidence. You don't just become confident out of thin air. It is a result of winning the day more often than not. So, confidence is a result of experience. When you take constant action, you're plowing through resistance, you're breaking through the anxiety, through the fear of what lies ahead. You're going to increase your self esteem because you know you did the thing, which in return is going to create more confidence. So, how do you build powerful routines? There's a lot of hype in the personal development and entrepreneurship community around routines. So, everyone is talking about having powerful morning routines, evening routines, night routines. You need to like meditate for an hour. Personally, I think it's a bit too woo woo. There's so much supplements, all this stuff. Like my friends right now, they're all like ice bathing, thinking they're going to get some superpowers from jumping in cold showers every single day. Sure, it has some effects. I'm sure it has some positive effects on the nervous system and all that, but you don't need to do all that. A routine that is easy to stick to and establish is going to be right for you and is going to be powerful. And over time, once you choose a routine that you can stick with, it's going to become a better habit and you're going to improve your quality of life over time to achieve your goals. So pick a routine that works for you that's very effective. It doesn't have to be long. It could be very simple. As you know, let's just say in the morning, you don't have to meditate for 30 minutes. You can do 5, 10. It's just the intentionality behind it. All right. This is something I like to use. I call it the daily dashboard. This is my routine. This is my hub. Everything in my life is on this platform. It's called Notion. But this is how I stay organized. So every single day when I don't work a 12-hour shift, this is how I start my day. I log into here. I go into my daily dashboard under the work section, and I take a look at my weekly goals that I set. And based on those weekly goals, I kind of plan things for the day of what I have to get done. If you don't like to use technology, you can use a daily journal to plan your day. If you're a morning planner, but maybe prefer planning at nighttime, that works too. Some people like to plan the night before. So I'm curious to know, are you a morning planner or a nighttime planner? And you can also try this exercise. You could take a note card or a notebook and write down 3 priorities that you want to do for the day or the next day. For some reason, focusing on 3 works very well. It kind of shrinks your to-do list. Even rules of 3 kind of in marketing, people use that. So try to stick with that. And ultimately, don't forget to give yourself credit and positive reinforcement for accomplishing the things. Give yourself credit when it's due. I'm surprised everybody says nighttime. So I'm the opposite. I do daily, but I think it's great to do nighttime because you have an intention for the day. You wake up and you already know what to do versus figuring it out. So I'm glad that that works for you guys. All right. I think setting up weekly schedules is also important to protect your time and to prioritize. There's so many competing priorities in every single part of our day. And we just need to be a little bit selfish sometimes, right? So most priorities are other people's priorities. People can reach out to you via text, call, email, Facebook, Instagram, Messenger, WhatsApp, Twitter, TikTok, who knows what else is out there. People ask you, when can you talk? When can you be free? When can we meet up? There was a time that I used to say, when is a good time for you? Because I was a people pleaser. And I used to move my schedule around for other people. And just like with a relationship, with your weekly schedule, your day to day, you have to have clear boundaries. And when you have that self love, you won't feel like you're letting other people down because you know you have to do things for you. This was a big one for me. As a people pleaser, I always felt so bad canceling and not going with or going with what I wanted to do. So this is a big thing. Set boundaries. Like for my professional life, I like to use Calendly. This is how I set up meetings. For example, those that have the coaching session, I'm going to send a Calendly link or whatever, Britt does. And my schedule is already there for this week and next week. And the time that works for you is a time that it works for me because it's in that calendar. So that's just a great way to prioritize your week and protect your time. And the last thing here is, in the age of constant competition, our ability to focus is our superpower. So we talked about focus and mind body practices. With focus gives you more awareness of your body, the decisions that you're making. Same thing here when it comes to your productivity. If you focus, it's a superpower. Nowadays, we spend so much time multitasking. And I know as healthcare professionals, we're going to say that we're all amazing multitaskers. I know I tried it myself and it didn't work out too well. Meaning, when I was doing my marketing and coaching on my computer, I used to have like a podcast, YouTube, I was reading a blog post, I was trying to do some focus work. I was just so distracted. I was all over the place. Again, that analogy of that radio station that's so busy. So, honestly, giving full effort and attention to one thing was so much better. Again, it's a superpower. So, imagine when you're multitasking, your brain switches from one activity to another. So your brain operates on bandwidth. It's like changing that radio station, right? So too much stimulation doesn't really work effectively because your brain is switching with all these channels and there's constant chatter, never actually accomplishing the thing. So some practical techniques that you can use in your day to day to harness the superpower focus is mindful scheduling. That's number one. So prioritizing tasks, allocating focused time, minimizing multitasking. For myself, I have that daily dashboard to keep me accountable and focused. Or you can check in with yourself. It could be at nighttime. You can, journal. You can journal in the morning. Just have a relationship with yourself and see how you're doing and just be honest. The second one would be to create a distraction-free zone. So finding a quiet space for whatever you're doing, whatever your task is, maybe using noise cancellation headphones, trying to eliminate distractions. And that kind of goes hand in hand with number three, which is having a digital detox, turning off non-essential notifications. I love the do not disturb button. So being mindful with your technology and set specific, device free zones for yourself. The fourth one is time management. You can either set time for tasks. I personally like when I'm doing my consulting online or coaching, I just have a time management app, like a timer, so I know what I'm focusing on and how long it's taking me. You can also use a technique called the Pomodoro technique, which is a time management method. So it's in a 30-minute interval. You're going to take 30 minutes, or I should say 25 minutes to do your focused work. And the other 5 minutes is for a break. You can stretch, get water, whatever it is. So I know sometimes when I was studying, I tried to use this technique as well. The fifth one is mindful breathing. So you can do a quick check-in to see how you're doing. Are you calm? How's your mind? Are you focused? It's also a great way to reduce stress. And breath is also a very good technique to check in with yourself to see if you're anxious or what's happening, right? So when you take a deep breath in, how's your breathing? Is it shallow? How is your pattern? Sometimes using your breath as a tool to kind of check in with your mental health to see how you're doing. If you're in healthcare, if you're a nurse, I like to even do that by the Pyxis. I'll go into the Pyxis to the med room or Omnicell for others and have that quiet space. Just take a deep breath. I know my patient wants pain meds. I know patient number 7 is asking for water, but just breathe in and breathe out and just check in to see how I'm doing, or giving myself some positive reinforcement during that time. So a mindful breath is amazing. It could be both professionally and personally, right? And the other one is the sitting practice. So this is something I teach my coaching clients. Again, it kind of helps you to train your focus, because where focus goes, energy flows. And just like you guys go to the gym to train your muscles, you guys go on runs to train your stamina endurance, you can use the sitting practice as a tool to train your focus. So it's also a great tool to notice your triggers because you're embodying yourself through mindfulness. So one way to do this is the same way you guys are doing the heart meditation. Just get in a comfortable position and find one thing to stare at on a wall or in your house, whatever you're doing. It could be a candle, it could be a light switch, but just have your eyes locked in on one thing and just breathe. Don't worry about how your breath is. Try to empty your mind. Don't worry about thinking, and just deprive your mind from stimulation. And you're going to see how quickly your mind is going to try to pollute you with different thoughts or of things that you have to do, or check your phone. Or even sometimes with me, my nose starts itching randomly because your mind is just trying to give you some stimulation to respond. And you'll start noticing like how much you have an inability to focus. You can kind of set a timer for 3 to 5 minutes and see how all that feels. All right. So for the rest of the time, I'm going to open up for a Q&A. Thank you guys for joining me. This is a QR code. If you guys want to check out my link tree, you can guys join my newsletter. You can connect with me on Instagram or LinkedIn. Or if you're curious about that coaching, you guys can look through all my things there. Maybe there's some synergy.
Feel free to drop anything in the chat or the Q&A for Matt. Definitely want to get any of your questions answered. We do have one more coaching session to give away. We only gave away 2.
Let's play a game. Whoever responds or makes a question first, we'll give that one away.
Love it. We need some Jeopardy music. Do, 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 do.
Or some feedback. I'd love to know what you guys think.
It was just so good, Matt, that, and everybody is just, wow.
Yeah, that sitting practice works really well. Yes. Thank you. That quote is from Tony Robbins. It's not mine. But yes, Tony Robbins, he's great at that. And yeah, attention, energy, it's just we're so interconnected. I think right now as healthcare providers, we just kind of look at disease from an aspect of, cardiovascular, respiratory, and now we're starting to realize. I just watched a documentary about like the mind gut connection, right? How taking probiotics and all this stuff, how our gut microbe is affecting us. I feel like in the next decade, we're going to start realizing how energy patterns and blockages are manifesting and creating disease. So this is a little bit ahead of its time, I feel like, and our Western society is kind of catching on to everything. Awesome, Gretchen. Thank you for that. You're going to be the last one for that coaching session.
Love it. Gretchen, I liked all your sayings today too, so I felt like you deserved it. Well, if no one, oh, there we do have one. There we go.
Ooh, what do I know about the vagus nerve? So I've done research. I was reading about it where so we have a poor vagal tone, which if we don't have a great vagal tone, it kind of creates more of like a fight or flight reaction in our nervous system. So using different techniques such as mindfulness meditation, it creates a stronger vagal tone in that nervous system, which in return helps with rest and digest, right? So parasympathetic nervous system helps you relax. I know there's like a vagal tone theory and things like that, but I haven't looked too into it. Let's see, vagal. Yeah, I think with everything, it's just more awareness. If anybody wants to, the biggest takeaway here is just awareness. Just start to noticing things, right? Just like that heart space. If you have a tight chest, just focus onto it. Have a meditation session. Just notice what's bothering me, or ask yourself a negative stemmed question. Sometimes that's how what is that term? Shadow work, right? Shadow work. Asking yourself a negative stem question, see what comes up.
One thing I'll also offer, Gretchen, is breath work. I know that Matt touched on it a little bit, but breath work is a good vagus nerve, not stimulator, but regenerator, if you will. So if you want to look into breath work, it can help regenerate it and help you work through some of stimulation and things like that.
I completely agree. And just trust, that everything is working out. I feel like this is just another theory. It's like when you're born, your soul and your nervous system collided together and conceived, right? So it's like we're having a spiritual experience. We're just in a human vessel right now. So it's like we always have this intuition, this gut feeling guiding us towards where we need to be, towards fulfillment. We just forget about that. Like we have to just let go and see where the world takes us in a way. And sometimes we get too, it's like masculine and feminine energy, right? We use the masculine to try to get things we want by brute force. And sometimes this is leaning more into the feminine and just trusting that everything is unfolding for you, right? That's another way to look at it. But again, by all means, I'm not perfect at it either. We're all learning. We're on our healing journey. Britt will say the same thing. And, we all have traumas. And I think that's the beauty of life, is just learning and or healing and helping others and being of service. And we're all just trying to get to that higher state of just love and abundance. So, right, how that works together. I do have trust issues. I love that. We're gonna I'll just make a note of that, so once we have the coaching session, we can focus on those things. Okay. But I do believe that the breath, and it's a direct, like a gateway to the psyche. So sometimes when people do breath work and they have trauma, we do have to be careful, because sometimes it could bring up a lot of unpleasant emotions, and working through that.
I love everyone your vulnerability and openness and
Yeah.
honesty throughout this workshop. I just love it all. And I appreciate you guys all. You are not alone. I just want to like reiterate that in all of this. Everyone else on this call feels the same, or has felt the same, or kind of experienced these things. We are all, as Matt said, having a human experience, and we as healthcare professionals are having a double, triple human experience dealing with other people having their human
Yeah.
experiences. So I want to offer in all of this, just remind yourself to give yourself grace. The healing journey is not linear. There's going to be ups and downs, turnarounds, and flips and dips. Trust, and know that you just even being here, you just even trying, being aware, and trying to be better is just making the world such a greater place.
Yes.
So I'm offering you grace as a fellow healer themselves. So I just wanted to say that is definitely pat yourself on the back. Do something nice for yourself tonight. You were already here, like you already got to your mat, as they say in yoga. So um, that's a good question, Matt. You want to answer that one?
What could you do when you? Okay, so interesting, because you mentioned work environment, so that's the kicker there. So, I mean, from a healthcare perspective, I always like to do patient advocacy, right? So there's going to be times, I think Olivia's a nurse, right? Because you said, what can you do to find yourself in the moment? Okay, so I think incorporating mindfulness. I didn't touch too much in mindfulness today, because I feel like everybody talks about it, but there's definitely like techniques they can use in the work environment to become more mindful, right? I mentioned one, when you're pulling out meds and the room is closed, just take a couple breaths, just ground yourself. Maybe take a break, put on some headphones, doing a quick meditation, or even in between patient care. I think the more that we're present, I believe it's a direct correlation with a better relationship you have with your patient. So if you're more present, you're giving more presence and ultimately love to your patient. You're not thinking about the other guy that needs pain meds. So with that presence, that person feels that from you, because it's an energetic experience, and they might press the call light less. They might be, less nerve wracking. So I think that's one way to look at it. Thoughts versus feelings. We all have that gut feeling when something is happening. So I think just discernment. And maybe you can also kind of notice in your chest kind of what's happening, right? I think whenever your intuition is talking to you, it is expansive. It's not tightening. Whenever we have a self-limiting belief or a negative thought, it's going to be constricting. So kind of take a look at that and try to just again get more into your body, because the body is indirectly correlated with the subconscious mind. So you can kind of use your body as an anchor to kind of discern what's being said or felt and your thoughts, and whether it's a positive or a negative thought. Hopefully that makes sense. Yes. Yes, that's a great way to do that. Yeah, sometimes, you know, focusing on those five senses is a great way to ground as well. When we have so much flight, look at your, what do you see? What do you hear? What do you taste? That's a great way also to kind of anchor yourself away from that mind chatter and getting down into just your body and being present. Okay, maybe you could talk about tapping, Brett. I've never really used that before.
Yeah, there's a couple different techniques, but Olivia, I resonate with that a lot. When COVID was happening, I had a lot of grief around my patients, and trying to communicate to their family members and things like that was really difficult because as an emotional person, like I wanted to cry because I'm like, this person is not going to make it, but how do I communicate that effectively
Yeah.
and not say too much and do things? So one of the things that my therapist taught me, and it's like you can look it up on TikTok because you know all the TikTok people are going crazy these days. But you can just tap yourself. Like remember if you like were a child, you know, and you would like kind of just tap your back. That can also bring you back into your body. How my therapist also like you can tap your head, like you know, or even if you can start here, and I would think of like the ocean. Like, say, if you're a hiker or you like ocean scenes or think of a joyous place, you can just like, as you're tapping, you bring yourself back to that place. So it just reminds you of that. It's definitely in therapy. So you can look it up. EFT tapping is what it's essentially called. But to not have to do it in therapy, you can just like start to bring yourself back to your body and kind of just tap
Yeah.
yourself into your awareness. Um, as an emotional girly, I get it.
And like you said, Bridges, give yourself grace. I think healthcare is such a demanding career. It's not only physical, it's mental, emotional, spiritual. Not to mention our work environment is just so toxic, or the managers, the hospital system, it's just so, we need to reform, right? So just protect yourself the most that you can, both mentally and physically, with this workspace or in healthcare, as we're trying to navigate and hopefully make it a better environment. But it's definitely tough. It's not for everyone. So because you guys are just nurses and doing this, like, you guys are amazing. I think nurses are, and just healthcare professionals in general, are just amazing and great.
Another thing too, it's not like in the moment, but one thing that I also love to do is journal and reflect about my feelings. So if you had that situation happen and maybe in that moment you just need to take the breath and whatnot, but you can't actually deal with said emotions, you can also journal about it and just say like, I felt this in the moment, this is why, kind of release some of those emotions. And then also like when you maybe when you're the situation arises again or a different type of situation, you can one reflect and say, oh, I actually handled that way better because I released those emotions or whatnot.
Mhm.
But it also just helps you kind of like reframe how you were feeling to not just get stuck in your body as Matt was talking about. Like you can actually release it through the journal or voice notes or voice memos or whatever you feel. But that could also just be a helpful thing to help afterwards
Yeah.
as well. Just a little.
Yeah, and just to add on to that point too is we forget our childlike play with our imagination. Just the same way you're using your imagination to create false realities and thoughts of what can happen in anxiety, we can use our imagination to create a positive environment and letting ourselves know that everything's going to be okay. A lot of times we want to use a rational mind to, why am I thinking like this? Why is this happening? And we're just fighting thoughts with thoughts, and we're not going to change anything. So just letting it go, breathing and exhaling, and just using our imagination to create a different emotion. Yes, affirmations.
Does anybody else have any last minute questions? I loved these coming through. Thank you guys so much for those. I'm going to give you guys like one more minute to write any other last minute questions you guys have. But I did want to let you know that there will be a survey, a post event survey coming out right after we end the event. So if you guys could fill that out and let me know if there's something else you're looking for in events, or if, just any feedback for Matt, or how we could get better at Trusted to help you guys. We're all ears. Listening to you all is how we get better and how we serve you better. So we just want to, again, just make sure that you are okay in all aspects of your life. So please fill that out for me. And I have Colleen, Christina, and Gretchen. I already have your email information, and going to send that to Matt. But you all, I will also be sending out the recording and the event slides in a few days. So you'll get that to the email that you registered with it as well. So all that'll be coming in the next few days. Matt's information, Instagram and his website and things like that will also be linked in there. So if you forget anything, or you want to reach out and ask him any more questions, or just give him a follow, definitely check out that email. But it doesn't look like anyone else has any questions. So again, thank you guys. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you guys. It was
It was our
awesome.
pleasure hosting you. And I hope you guys have a great, great rest of your evening, and happy early Nurses Week.
Take care, guys. Thank you for everything.